Hi everyone, this is Susie from Minnesota and I garden in Zone 4, and what that means is I usually have warm, humid summers and the winters here can get about minus 30 degrees. Worst case scenario, this winter we'd gotten to minus 21. So it's a challenging climate, and this is the first tour for April 2020. And I'm kind of changing things up with my channel a little bit, so this is going to be labeled Walk With Me, and then behind it I'll specify what kind of a tour it's going to be, whether it's going to be vegetable, flower garden, maybe shade garden, maybe blooming. This one is going to be a full tour. There's not a whole lot to see. Again, it's Minnesota, and we did have a pretty mild winter. I can't complain. Very nice March. April was a little cooler. Very, very windy. We had that snow, but we haven't had any rain before then. And then last night, of course, or I should say early this morning, we had a little tiny thunderstorm come through. Didn't drop a whole lot of rain. So here I have columbine that's coming up. I have not planted columbine in a long time, so this is just what's been dropped by the little birdies. My neighbor's dogs are outside. If you can see, all of this just starting to come up is my Solomon seal. That does really good for me. A little too good, because it's starting to go outside of the beds, but that's okay. I'll just dig it up and move it. I think all of that over there is the great blue lobelia. That has really spread. I'm just going to leave it. Lamium that's growing down here. This is a good lamium. I usually like lamium, but I'll show you an area if I remember where it's taken over. Some more columbine. This garden is kind of hard for me because the birds and squirrels have been crazy in here. They've been just whipping around the mulch. So I don't really know where everything is. I do have takes by everything. Hostas are just starting to come up, and some not yet, so. That is a hardy geranium. I love the foliage on that. I like it when it first starts to come up, and then it gets a little, I don't know, sparse, but I'm still going to leave it. I just like that contrast of color, and here, snow on the mountain. It is funny how it's doing really good in this area here, but yet again, this area is a little more sparse. I'm okay with that. I'm not complaining, but maybe this massive tree, the roots are just a little bit more intense over there. Oh, the bird song is beautiful. Honeysuckle bush, native to my area. I'm going to give this a good trim. It does run also, but it's native, so I guess what did I expect? I will be moving that lily at some point. I think I'm going to keep this entire area over here hostas. And I had thought about doing that last year too, and I just think it'll look really good. This poor hosta, we had that snowstorm in April, and then 3 nights where they got down into 19. And this is called king size hosta, and it's quite juicy. I don't know. That's my fault. I should have come out here because this is the south side of the house. This is always warmer, and it was a little farther beyond than the other ones. I have lots of rabbits around here too. This is a nice hosta. I hope these don't do the same thing, so I'm just kind of watching. But I'll probably move that one somewhere. See if it can recover. I just love how hostas come out of the ground, but because I do have lots and lots of rabbits, I did order some stuff online. It's fox urine granules. This is a peony. This will get moved. I know it's better to move them in the fall, but at this point, I couldn't last year. My fall was so wet, the ground was sludge. So, and I got to it too late. And I was debating about whether moving it or not, and yeah, I'm going to. More hostas. This bleeding heart here, that's from that cold damage. And because it looks like this, I think I'm going to take a chance and move it. And I will show you where. Brunnera. This is doing pretty good considering last year it looked pretty tough. So it hung in there. Good little dude. I had moved a lot of hostas out of this area in the front. So it will look a little different. This Brunnera looks awesome. Brunnera. Goat's beard back here. That really loves this spot. Sum and Substance. My all-time favorite extra large hosta. They get huge. I can't say favorite hosta. I mean, it is one of my faves, but I'll say the extra large, and then if there's some small ones, I'm hoping most of them come up. We just kind of had a weird year. We did get rain at some point, I forget when, and my backyard was underwater. So I do worry that that's gonna cause some issues. So right here and here is where the Sum and Substance are. So I'm thinking right back in here is where I'm going to put my bleeding heart. And I know it's going to be a bit crowded there at some point when the Sum and Substance grow in, but I figure the bleeding heart comes up early and it blooms. Oh, my shadow's in the way. I'm sorry. And I don't know. I think that'll be a good spot because the foliage will die back sometime in the summer. It always does at some point. So the Sum and Substance should hide that ugliness. I don't have to try and think about putting a pot to cover it. Okay, so in this bed, I did get all of this planted last September. And unfortunately, we did have some strong winds, and my tags kind of blew all over. I do have some in there, so hopefully that's where they're supposed to be. So I know some of my hostas, I'm not really good at the others, just because my tags are just the plastic tags that come with it, and I don't know. I should keep better record. So when they start emerging a little bit better, I do love it when you guys help me figure out what they are, what the names are. So I had moved a lot of my other hostas from my other beds in here. And I also moved, is it showing up on here? Some Solomon seal. I think it showed up. Right there. And that was late September. It was 90 degrees and I'm like, I gotta get this in. And I took a chance. And so far I'm pretty impressed by things coming back. The little green plant in there is sweet woodruff. So happy that came along. So yeah, there's not much to see with my hostas, but we haven't had any rain. So I just feel that rain really makes things grow. The ground isn't bone dry yet, at least in my area, because I have boggy areas, but it's getting there. And this is a bigger clump with the Solomon seal. I can't wait. I also moved, if it shows up on camera, it kind of blends in. It used to be called Cinesifuga. I think it's Actia. Correct me if I'm wrong. I prefer saying Cinesifuga. Just kind of rolls off the tongue, but I don't know if it's going to stay there. I just moved it just because there's an open spot. I do have a hosta coming up in there. Will not know until it comes up. And hopefully, again, you guys can help me. And plus the squirrels and the birds just pull my tags out. They have not been very helpful this year. Sorry, this is my wood pile. This is everything that has fallen since those strong winds. A lot of noise around here. Every day feels like a weekend. This is the lamium, and it's called Lamia strum. And I had planted this in a container one year, and it was in this one 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't realize it was a perennial, and it's actually already down to zone 2. Well, this is the kind of lamium you do not want, because all that rooted was basically like one teeny tiny little stem. And this is what's happening. It's just all over. So it's Lamia strum. Pretty aggressive, and considering this is very aggressive. I have lily of the valley all over in here, very aggressive. At least what goes out of bounds I can control with a lawnmower, so there is that. But I feel like at some point this garden here is doomed to be taken over. I'll have to explain. So in this pot, that kind of branch twig in there is not staying in there. What that's from, if you can see, is I clipped that off of my pagoda dogwood. It was just rubbing against the branch, and I thought, well, maybe I can try and get it to root. I don't know. It's there for the time being. It's kind of a little test. Everybody comments on that. Like, it's me. This little grass here will get moved because it usually gets covered up by, in front here, Empress Wu. She looks good. I'm glad. It was tough last year, so she definitely bounced back. A peony, that one looks fantastic. I'm just gonna show you here. You can see that sun is really, right in my eyeballs. My honeysuckle is doing good. Again, if I can get, I figure I don't really have to go behind the garden quite yet. But if you can see, thank goodness that one stem is there. I'm gonna have to put a net or cage there because the rabbits took down everything else. And I'm pretty sure they took down all of my clematis again. They've been busy. Daylilies. I'm thinking in the fall I will probably be splitting these at some point. The one over here is a nice sized clump, but the other ones are not quite so big. Again, this is a tricky area. This is very boggy back here. I'm just surprised they're hanging in there. I have primrose down here, and that's starting to wander. It used to be over in this section, and I think the lily of the valley just kind of kicked it out. So it relocated. Down here is my lady's mantle. You can see there's kind of a hole here. That's a pretty good sign that it could be split, and lots to do. Lungwort. More lady's mantle, and this is what I love about lady's mantle. among other things. But look at how the rain just collects on those leaves. Kind of zooming out slowly so I don't make you dizzy. These hostas are doing a bit better back here, but they're more established, so, and they get a little bit more sun. This is my pagoda dogwood. That has done amazing. It's finally taller than me. So yeah, down here is where I could probably clip that one too, but I don't know if you can see, it was rubbing right there, the one branch. Some more lungwort, and what's kind of nice is, you know, it made a little plant here, so I'm thinking I'm just going to dig up this one and just move it to my new area once I know where everything's at. Back here I have the giant fleece flower. That's looking amazing. I'm thinking I might try and cage it somehow, tie it up so it doesn't break off in strong winds. Back here, whoops, too quick focus. This is all wild ginger. And I might move some of this just because once things grow up in here, that kind of covers it. So I'd like for it to be kind of closer to the front so it can be seen. I really like that. This whole clump here is Cleone, turtlehead. I do have to be careful because, like I said, these rabbits, with all these hostas coming up, it's like a buffet for them. So in this area I moved a bunch of hostas, and in this spot I put the black-eyed Susan. It looks okay, but, and it was moved late. Huge clump. It was quite a shock to its system. It's definitely happy where it was. That was a massive root ball. Daylily. I have more primrose in here. And coming out of bounds, but that's okay. I really love this plant. Sedum. And this is the Cibaria sorbifolia. It would be neat if the foliage would stay that color, but it does eventually just go to a green. But I love that ferny texture to it, very lacy, and then it gets white flower head, so it's a really neat plant. But considering my zone here, it definitely is a runner. So this might be one where if you do plant it, you might want to just plant it in a huge pot like you would mint. And but I don't know. I don't know how aggressive those roots are. But that's okay. I just kind of hack away at it and pull it where I don't want it. So far it's been working, kinda. Giant allium back there. And then if I can zoom in, if you can see, yep, the bunnies trimmed that clematis there. Although I have a lot of shoots coming up at the bottom. So that'll be good. And then this one over here. So what's tough is if this would be a class, it's a class 1, group 1 clematis, that would be horrible because I would not get any blooms from it, whatever growth came out. I think it's a class 3. It blooms later in the summer. Another peony here. Then over here, if I can find it, this is my Ligularia. I've never had Ligularia come back. I can't believe she made it. It's Britt Marie Crawford. And that purple foliage, I love it. So excited. I've just kind of been moving pots, getting everything ready for planting. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this bamboo in here because it's really brittle. And I think once a vine is climbing up there, it would probably snap off. I don't know. This rose is going to go. There's not a whole lot of growth. Come on, focus. Because it's way... And it's an also easy rose. It's been there for a long time, shrub rose. This is a wet area, so it's finally just saying no. And I don't think it's worth it to keep it for just that little shoot down there. So that's okay. I got some good years out of that one. I'm not really fantastic at growing roses. Really not. On that note, I do have 2 climbing roses coming, so we will see. I don't know what made me do it. This was before everything kind of happened in the world, and I'm not sure if I would have gotten them. So in these are all my veggie beds. I have this mulch here that, yeah, it is piled on, but that's just where I put all of my leaf clippings, or I should say all my mulched up leaves. And I leave it on until I'm about ready to plant. And then over here I took it off because it keeps the soil pretty cool. And I had some bins over here to warm it up, so I'm going to be planting my cold weather crops here soon. I figure it's just seeds, so I'm going to take a chance. If it was actual plant starts, no, I would not. But yeah, I had bins, so that's why this is a little grayer, and it rained, and that's darker. So I'll take you back here real quick and show you my rhubarb. Again, this is a full garden tour. Trying to keep it as short as can be because there isn't a whole lot, so it is kind of boring. That looks fantastic. I can't wait. That must have doubled in size from last year. And then I have my garlic chives. I filled up all of these bags. I wasn't going to do that this year. I wanted to do more raised beds back there. But that's not in the budget for this year. So I found some sturdier bags that I like. And I don't think anything needs to be anything bigger than that. So I just had taken some of my soil from this bed and filled them. I have really good soil. Just love the ducks. So yeah, so I just took some soil from here. I put compost, my own compost on it. The leaves that I have on it break down, and it's probably better than any bag soil out there. Here is Julia Rose. I keep looking, and this is an Ito peony. I'm like, it was just starting to come out when we got those cold temps. So, but it was kind of like this, so I wasn't too concerned. But Ito peonies are expensive, extremely expensive. Daylily. The only little rabbits I do like in my garden. I love my statue rabbits. Not a whole lot to see in this garden. Things are just coming up here. I have sedum that's looking really good down there. I have some, you can see it, catmint. I was expecting more from this. So far, I'm not entirely impressed. This is called Cat's Pajamas. But again, we were really wet last year, so that could have done it. More roses kind of here. I have 3 of them. Kind of small. Rabbits like roses. That's crazy. White Wands Veronica. And then back here is my Russian sage. And I want to say, if you can see, where am I at? I am pretty sure all of that with the bark is rabbit damage. So I'm hoping that hasn't affected it. I know Russian sage takes a bit to emerge, so I haven't cut it down a whole lot. I clipped it so I could kind of work in there. It was flopping all over. I don't know. And then back here, this is where my black-eyed Susan used to be. And now that's what's there is the tall phlox. It's called David. I might be moving a lot of stuff around in this garden. I don't know yet. See anything else? And I left the roses too. They're pretty tall. There's a lot of dead on them. And I like to leave them till they're really budding out. So I kind of know where to trim. Because right now, some look better than others. Then I will be backtracking here just to go around my kennel area for my little dog. I used to have 2 dogs, now just 1. In here, it's huge. This is bee balm. I don't know if it's picking up on camera. Where are you? I'm so happy because that's definitely going to be one that I will split and move to other places. Very, very happy. I don't mind that plant spreading. This container's not going to stay here. Last night I was just filling up a lot of containers because before things kind of went wonky, I had 2 huge things of potting mix. So I just want to see how much I can get out of those bags. And so I'm not sure where that one's going to go. This is my tree peony, and I keep the cage on, and I'm not sure. I might take it off. And I do it because of the rabbits. What I'm afraid of, because this is a tree peony, is it's a shrub. I mean, tree, shrub, whatever you want to call it. So it's not herbaceous. It doesn't die back to the ground. So if the rabbits would chop that off, that would kind of be the end of my peony. And so I'm not sure what I want to do. If I want to take that chance, that cage is kind of, it's an eyesore, but it's also protecting it. Strawberries, looking pretty good. I was debating about if I wanted to dig them all up and make this into another veggie bed. I don't know. There are some strong roots on strawberries. More lady's mantle. So I feel this so far is the only hosta that has not come up. And the thing about these hostas, which is Bridal Falls, I planted 4 of them kind of like in the corners. So if this one doesn't come up, that's going to look weird. That's kind of why I don't like planting like the same thing, because I did that in this area and I was like, do I want to do that? Because if something dies, then it looks off. So I'm not sure. I'll still give it time. Still is early. This is a little shadier over here. Daylily. I think all of this stuff over here, hardy geranium, I love this. I love this scent of the foliage, but all of the perennials over on, I'll show you, this side are doing really good. Except for that hosta that's not coming up. Ooh, the squirrels are playing today. You will see I love Lady's Mantle, Alchemilla mollis. Mouthful. I'd rather say Lady's Mantle. I should start learning the Latin names. So if you can see, there's just one little dude coming up there. So maybe there's still hope for the other one yet. It was pretty wet over there, like wet, gushy. So yeah, still everything's looking a little better. Lady's Mantle. So I did alternate. So it goes hosta, Lady's Mantle, daylily, hardy geranium, so forth. The only difference in this area is This one's a little more but I'm not concerned. The foliage will cover that. I'm pretty sure I've had it before. I can't believe they're really tiny. The anemone here, I have little growth. I'm surprised it came back. I do not have luck with anemones. Still looking pretty good for the hardy geranium. And then this is where it starts to go downhill. And this gets more sun. And I mean, that's not the issue here. But what the issue is I'm sure all of you can kind of guess. Dun dun dun. The big tree. The roots on this thing are so massive that I think it's just sucking out. Let me see if I can scoot here without having my shadow. The roots, I think, just suck out all the moisture in this area, and there's competition. I know when I was digging up all the sod here, I encountered a lot of roots. And very, very shallow roots. If you can see right here, if you can see my, there we go. Mowing lawn is a nightmare. So I kind of feel like that's why things are over here. Because this is a little tiny clump. This is a smaller clump of daylilies, but daylilies are tough. And then this hardy geranium. So yeah, and then also I kind of have sticks to kind of mark out where the hostas are, just so I don't accidentally step on them. I'm not too worried about this area just because it's not that deep, so I can kneel here and get in there and look. I should mark them out in my other areas. So here it's actually better, but the birds, they've just been taking all of the mulch in here and just flicking it out into this area, out of the bed. It's crazy. So I come by and rake it, and over here they've been really bad. I gotta do some weeding with the grass coming up. But yeah, you can see in here. I'm kind of going with bigger pots this year, but less, depending on how much soil I have. I definitely have enough plants to put in them, so I'm not concerned about that. I'm just walking slow, so I don't know how long this tour is. I'm sorry if it's very long. There really was nothing to look at. I'm just going to hit on this tree. So this was my sister's lemon tree, and every summer she would bring it out. It would stay here, and it would do good. I would take care of it, and then every fall she would take it back home for the winter. It definitely is not going to last outside here. And then what would happen is at some point it would lose all of its leaves, and I called it the Charlie Brown lemon tree. It just looked horrible. And I'm thinking, she's doing everything right. She's giving it the correct light. She's misting it. The humidity's high, and it still dies. So she didn't take it home. She was tired of it. So come November, I'm like, it went in my garage. So from November, December, January, February, March, it stayed in my unheated garage, no light, no water. And this is what it looks like. I do not get it. I mean, she babied that lemon tree to the point where I do not understand why it's not surviving. And she did acclimate it, so it's not like she went from the outside situation right into inside. We put it in the shade for a week just to kind of get it used to it. I don't know. I kind of had it with the lemon tree too, but it's still thriving, so I have a hard time getting rid of stuff that's living. This is a shrub rose, and this one's doing really good. So I'm very happy with this one. Very thorny. So I was thinking when I get the climbing roses, it's a tight spot, but they're going to be going here alongside. And they can just climb up this. It's supposed to be 71 today. It's been absolutely perfect. It's been in the 60s, no rain. I mean, it's been nice and sunny, but hydrangeas, I have not trimmed any of them back. So yes, they still look like this. And it's just there's one over here that takes a little bit longer to bud out, and I can show you. Like this one can be trimmed here. Sorry about the wind. So when it gets to that point is when I will clip it, because then I know exactly where there's good growth. Otherwise, if I trim it before that, who knows what I'm trimming. And I know these can be trimmed down pretty good, and I will not be doing a video on that just because it would probably take me an hour to do one shrub. When it comes to pruning, I get a little, if you want to say, stage fright. I know you can't ruin these too much. These are all paniculata. Like, this is a good. But if you can see what I mean by rabbit damage is all of this. So I don't worry about the hydrangeas, but they did get to my lilacs. So the snow wasn't a huge amount, but it would always, you know, snow. Then we'd get some nice temps. It would melt. But down here, I don't know, that sun is just not cooperating. So yeah, it took off all of this. So I will not have any blooms at the bottom of this shrub. It'll be up midway. But yeah, that is my April garden tour. Unfortunately, it got long. But oh, what a beautiful day. I can't wait to get out here and just get my hands on the soil. Again, I might be moving some stuff. I will be planting some of my vegetables. I might take you along for that, depending if it's kind of a tight fit over there for a tripod, so I don't know. Hopefully you enjoyed this tour, and bye for now.